So, this is an apropos tune. Sonya, I actually kind of like pulled this one out of the rabbit out of my hat on this one. It's like, I was looking for things that would say, okay, you're trying, you're pushing, you're moving. You might not make it the first time, but you're going to, like Sisyphus, you're going to push it up again. And I had a tune in the old draw bag here, and I actually normally played this one on ukulele, but I thought, yeah, let's give it a bigger thing. So when I actually mention a ukulele, imagine it, okay? We all have good imaginations, sir. Well, it's almost, but not quite. God says it's all right. The right track and pretty close. A good prescription, but the wrong dose. Back to the drawing board. Sketch it out, re-explore, run it up the flagpole. Once again, you're in control. I write the line, but the line stops. I fix the circuit, but the breaker pops. Still there's no use crying, 'cause God knows I'm trying. Well, I'm pretty good around my kids. My life ain't hit the skids. Everything's okay, it could be better. It's a little cold, should've worn my sweater. Well, almost, but not quite. God says it's all right. The right track and pretty close. Good prescription, but the wrong dose. Back to the drawing board. Sketch it out, re-explore, run it up the flagpole. Once again, you're in control. These kind of things sort of bug me a bit. I got big-eyed eyes and I won't quit. Even if it's not stacked up right, I'll still sleep well tonight. It may be just short of the mark, but I still find my way in the dark. My dog sort of likes me and the cat don't bite. Maybe these lyrics just need a rewrite, 'cause it's almost, but not quite. God says it's all right. The right track and pretty close. Good prescription, but the wrong dose. Back to the drawing board and sketch it out, re-explore, run it up the flagpole. Once again, you're in control. I know I will slowly pull it all together. Find my niche, my birds of a feather. And everything I touch will be good and golden, including this imaginary uke I be holding. Well, you be saying this song ain't serious. It kinda makes you laugh and maybe a bit humorous. Well, I ain't worried if it don't pass muster, 'cause I'm still standing unlike George Custer. All right, but not quite. God says it's all right. The right track and pretty close. Good prescription, but the wrong dose. Back to the drawing board and we'll sketch it out, re-explore it, and run it up the flagpole. Once again, you're in control. Woo!
That's a nice, calm lead-in. I'm glad I'm not speaking. I'm glad it's you. I would like to introduce our special guest speaker today, Reverend Sonya Milton, who I forgot to get information about you, so I know you're a Unity minister in Napa.
I live in Napa. Yeah, I'm a Unity
Okay.
minister, and thank you.
And we're glad to have you
You
here.
know, and it just feels so good here. It's feels really good here. My husband, Hal Milton, and I were ordained Unity ministers 31 years ago in a couple of months. And, and we thought, because we had lived in Santa Barbara before we went to ministerial school, and we thought, we're just these cool Californians. We're going to just go somewhere where we're needed. You know, we're just going to ask the universe. And where we ended up was East Tennessee. In Knoxville, Tennessee, because we thought we thought we could transform the Bible Belt. And so we limped out of there about 6 years later and ended up in Napa and worked in Napa, worked in San Francisco, did a lot of interim and transitional kind of work. But anyway, once you're in this work, you know all of you are in this work because your hearts are open and you're live the principles, and so it's really great to be here. So I've been doing this long enough to know that I never know how it's going to be, because when I decided what I wanted to talk about and kind of created something, but that was like 2 weeks ago or 3, and now we're right here right now. And there's a saying of Hafid's, this place where you are right now, God created a map on the map for you. So where we are right now is exactly where we're supposed to be. And I was thinking as we drove over the Golden Gate Bridge this morning and looking at Alcatraz and the history of people being stuck, confined, and how we confine ourselves, and we confine ourselves with our own minds because it is an inside job. And so what I've been thinking about lately, a couple of things. I was thinking about happiness and joy and how it's a choice. I mean, I come from a long line of, "Oy, what's wrong? Oy, what's wrong? Oh, what happened? Oh, and how that shift in mind, because we don't change the circumstances. And this is, I think, one of the teachings of Charles Fillmore, Unity co-founder, that really grabbed me, was that we can't change what's happening, but what we can do is shift our perception, that we have this pivotal quality in our minds that we can decide how we're going to think about something. Not how we're going to feel, but how we're going to think about it. And with that, we can actually shift and change our lives. And I know all of us have been doing that for a long time, especially these last couple of years. It's been very difficult for several of us, many of us. I know, yeah. Have a little day. So I just finished reading a book called The Sea of Tranquility. Anybody know it? It's Hilary St. John Mandel. And it's really like a time travel, kind of a time bending kind of thing. And I like that sort of thing. Not so much science fiction, but just how we mess up with time, because I believe that it's all happening right now, and we have to put it into these little chunks so we can digest it, but it's all right now. So in this book, one of the issues at the beginning of the book was there was this anomaly, and I just kind of have been sticking with that word, anomaly. There was an anomaly. Something wasn't quite right, and this character in the book had to figure it out. And then, boy, I'm really off track. This is great, isn't it? I meet on Thursdays on Zoom with a group of colleagues, mostly actually rogue Episcopal priests who've gone on a kind of Jungian path, So we look at the lectionary. Do you know what the lectionary is? I know you do. So the lectionary is, there's a 3-year cycle of Bible passages, New Testament and Old Testament, and traditional Christian churches will focus on this one. So it might be the Methodists and the Baptists and the Episcopals are all working with the same passage. And with this group, we look at the passage of the week, and then we unwrap it and untie it and go into it and talk about it and take it as really what's happening in the story itself, and then how it's happening in the world, and then how this same story is happening within us. And I find that so juicy and delicious. And the story we dealt with this week, and this was on Thursday, so I really didn't have time to plan, was the story of the bent-over woman who went into the synagogue on the Sabbath, and she couldn't stand up straight, and Jesus was there. There appeared a woman with a spirit that had crippled her for 18 years. He was teaching, Jesus, in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. She was bent over and quite unable to stand straight. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said, "Woman, you are set free from your ailment." And I was just thinking about this ailment as an anomaly. I don't even have a definition of anomaly. I didn't even think to look it up to share that with you. But it's like there's a little wrinkle. There's a wrinkle in this woman's perception of herself. Not that there isn't stuff going on with us physically. And this idea of medical a metaphysical malpractice you're aware of? Like, how come you have a cold? What have you been thinking? You're thinking wrong. You know, that, like, it's not that. This is really a story that may or may not have happened. And he laid his hands on her. Immediately she stood up and began praising God. But the leader of the synagogue just came down on him. You're not supposed to heal on the Sabbath. You're not supposed to do this that day. You're supposed to do it on other days. But the people there were just so glad and great. And as we started to unpack this, I was thinking of, the term that came to me was an anomaly in the energy field. And I was just thinking about that in a greater sense of the world right now, because there are things going on that's not agreeable to many of us, I would say, politically, culturally, socially, war, you know. And this like anomaly, this wrinkle, this thing that, how do we think about it in a way that we can digest it and hold it steady? I love what we did with those prayers. I've never had anything like that in a unity service, and I just loved it. And then we all affirmed that that is the prayer. It created such a beautiful energy, and thank you, and it had me shift right off of what I thought I'd be doing. Because what I really wanted to talk about today was happiness. And there's a book, and I don't remember the name of it. I think it's something about joy with, the Dalai Lama and Bishop Tutu. Book of Joy, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Fran. I mean, if they can be happy, right? They came together to celebrate one of their birthdays. I don't know who it was, but Bishop Tutu traveled to India where the Dalai Lama was. And there's a video of it, and you just see how joyful they are. And I thought, what they've been through, they have chosen to be joyful. They have chosen to be happy. So how do we do that? I mean, it's, you know, when things get back to normal, when I lose that weight, when I have enough money and time, when the rain comes. You know, I live in Napa. It's dry. It is very dry, and it gets a little scary. In fact, we just found out that our health insurance company has decided not to renew our home insurance because of the fire, perhaps the fire danger. And we've had a lot of that up there. In his book, Prosperity, Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore says, God's will for us is health, happiness, and prosperity for every man and woman, I added. To have all that is good and beautiful is to express God's will for us. God's will is not expressed in a hovel or in solemnness, but in joy. Isn't it, you know, like we have these ideas what it means to be reverent. His Holiness the Dalai Lama says the purpose of life is to be happy, to have fun, to play, to enjoy life's each moment, to love people. And of course, Jesus of Nazareth proclaimed it's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. So it's like it is this inside job that we have to do ourselves. And, you know, as preachers, teachers, we were taught, you know, come up with a 3-step or a 7-step or something. You know, something, here's the need, but what are we going to do with this need? And so I have these 4 steps to happiness. And the first is humility. Whoever humbles himself shall be exalted, says the gospel in the Gospel of Matthew. It's this state of not thinking that you're better than somebody else. It doesn't mean you're tearing yourself down, but it means we know our place in the order of things, in the fields of energy. To know that we're not alone. You know, I used to think our spiritual gifts are kind of like on a shelf, like, you know, and then the higher I get I could gain and get, you know, more of these gifts. But it's the opposite. It's like everything is beneath the other. It's like this one grand hologram. The lower that I stoop in my human will and allow spirit to come through, then I'm able to forgive and accept and the good that's already here. It's an inside job. So Thomas Edison, this is a great story about him. He would have these moments where he didn't know what was coming next. And he was a great inventor of many things that we use today. He'd go to sleep, he'd be meeting these dead ends at work, and he would need new ideas, and he would close his eyes and doze off and ask for something to come, and he'd wake up with these fresh and new ideas. And I know that happens for all of us. We just have to be willing. The deeper the prayer, the greater the inspiration. Second step, humility, is active surrender. And when I think of surrender, I think of my father-in-law, Hal's father, Sam. Sam the key man. He was a locksmith. Sam the key man. And we took him to Israel, many years ago. And he was just, I think, had turned 80. And we went into the Red Sea, which floats you, the Dead Sea. I'm sorry, not the Red Sea, the Dead Sea, where you float because there's so much salt in the water. Well, Sam was very fearful of the water. He never learned to swim, and he was so afraid to be in that water. And I just remember, so I held him in the water, and he just relaxed and let go, and I moved my hands out, and he had surrendered to the water holding him into that floating. And what surrender! I mean, those of us of a certain age and time right now, we're having to surrender to a lot of things, aren't we? It's just not working the way it used to. I'm not thinking the way I used to think. I can't be like that like I used to be. I used to be like so fast and quick and multitasking and active mind. It's just not working like that anymore. I have to just surrender to what is. And I don't like it a lot of times. But I do it, and when I do it, and we know that, long-term marriage over here, we just last week celebrated our 40th year of canoodling, So I'm very blessed to have such a wonderful, willing partner, so thank you. Canoodling. I love that word, canoodling. Yeah, canoodling. This idea of surrender comes from Brother Lawrence. Are you familiar with him? He was, in the year 1667, he became this lay leader in the Carmelite order in Paris. And through prayer, he brought through these writings, and I love this. 1667, at any moment and in any circumstance or surroundings, we can realize the presence of God within us. The kingdom is within our reach now if we surrender and trust. That's all we have to do. God does the work. God manages the details. Much of our failure to achieve happiness is caused by our refusal to see life whole and simple, by our insistence on making something complicated of life. I mean, it's not new. We've heard this from Jesus, the prophets, from the Buddha, to get still and to tell the truth to ourselves and to open and be willing and aware. We're not originators of power. We are users of power. Third step, we have humility, surrender, loving everything. Well, Byron Katie does that, what does she call it? Loving what is. And not just, it's like everything. The good stuff and the yucky stuff and the candle, that now that we can't light candles so often, we have to do, these kind of candles often. I love that too. To simply just love. I go into a new situation, it's like, I know I'm going to fall in love with everybody. It's like, I can't wait. Like, all of you are so new to me. Now, I've been in this church many times over many years when the building was yellow, with ministers back to Shea St. John, and, all these different opportunities, and Sharon, and Carl, and Catherine, and I don't know who I missed, but lots of them. And Maggie, well, of course Maggie, Maggie. And just that shifts, but the spirit that is here, I was going to say still here, but it's always been here, and it remains, and it remains, and it remains. Sometimes you think of something, you need a magnet to find that needle. The magnet that we've been given is love. We have nothing to lose. Hal always used to say, Hal, my husband, you can't give anything away. You can't give anything away. It's just, here we are. And I know some of us have had a really tough time these last couple of years. And the dogs. Anybody have a dog? Our dog was such a nice dog. He's still a nice dog. But now he doesn't want to be alone because we just were with him all the time. Now we go out and you'd think, oh my God, we're gone 5 minutes or 5 hours. We'll get home today and he's going to like read us the riot act because he was alone in one of his 4 beds with, do you know that Alexa plays classical for pets? So I put that on. Really, like he's got his wall, you know, he can go in and out, he's got the doggy door, but like we left him. Speaking of which, just because, you know, I like to be personal, Hal and I are very excited. Aren't you excited, dear? We're taking a big trip. We're going to France this week, and beautiful Rebecca, who's sitting behind Michael, will be staying up at our house and taking care of Kirby the punk dog, you know, So Rebecca used to work with us at Unity San Francisco many years ago. I was there 10 years since I left, but she's awesome, so say hi to her. 4th step, we have humility, surrender, loving everything, and this idea of this oneness of all, of unity, oneness. Everywhere present, no difference, me or you. One spirit, one time, all time happening at the same time and just unwrapping. There's this spiritual impulse we have towards oneness, this unwavering confidence. There's no separation ever. This, you know, non-dualistic teaching, which is sort of the buzzword right now, but we've always believed that in unity. There's no separation. There's no gods out here and we're here. Now, some of us like to have a representation. Some of us use Jesus, which took a long time for me to create this relationship because I was raised in a Jewish family. So like, you know. But I saw you have a mezuzah on the door out here. It's great. So embracing it all. Or Kuan Yin. I particularly like Kuan Yin. She's like it for me. And I was with my acupuncturist yesterday who's into Guru Ma. She just came back from India. But whoever it is, it's not like you have to go there to get there. It's like these conduits. Sometimes we need to just have this person or this icon or whatever it is to help us. Because God is so vast. It's so grand. It's so omnipresent and so omniscient. So sometimes we need to kind of pull it in a little bit. And that's okay. Just not forgetting where the real power is. It is not I, but the Father within, the Mother within, the Spirit within that does the work. Humility, surrender, loving everything, oneness with all. A long time ago, at the Knickerbocker Club in New York City, a group of Mark Twain's friends recalled that it was his birthday. He was still around then. And they decided to write him a collective letter. And they composed 7 or 8 pages of nonsense, because he was a nonsense kind of guy. And since they didn't know where he actually was, they addressed it to Mark Twain, Lord knows where. And several months elapsed, and a postcard addressed to them came back to the club and said, he did, Mark Twain. God knew where he was. So God knows where we are too. At every moment, there's nothing to be unhappy about. It's a choice to turn it around and look at it in a new way. So look at all these gorgeous words that you have up here on the wall. God is blessing you because it is an inside job. So with that, let's go ahead and take this time into some more quiet time, some meditation of stillness, of silence. I heard recently that silence is not the absence of sound, it's the absence of noise. I love that. So, whatever it is you do to come to yourself, to relax, to know that the seat beneath you is supporting you fully and completely. Knowing that mindfulness is paying attention to what's happening inside you and outside you in the present moment, where there's nowhere to go and nothing to do. And so we pause. And we choose. We arrive in presence. And with a gentle attention, notice the state of your body right now. And take a full, deep breath and release it slowly, and slowly enough that you can feel the sensations of the exhale as your breath moves through your chest, through your throat, through your nostrils. And now allow your breath to resume its natural rhythm and sense that you can relax, feeling gravity and how the earth is supporting you. And notice in this simple presence, without judgment, the state of your body just now. Warm, cool, at ease or tense. And notice too the state of your mind and of your heart, just as it is. Is it racing or quiet? Joyful? Sad? Happy? Let mindfulness hold it all. Let's simply be aware that you're here, feeling the groundedness, the sensations of being seated, present in this moment, in this room, in your Zoom room, wherever you are. For wherever you are, God is. And notice how you can come into this presence in the midst of whatever's going on. And so we pause. And we move into a time of just some silence, absence of noise, into some silence, some silence, some silence. And slowly, gently, just noticing who you are and where you are, knowing that you can have this practice anytime in an instant. Let your intention be to carry this simple presence with you as your day unfolds and continues, as you go out into the world and into your day and into your week. You are the Christ of God in expression. You have all you will ever need. You are enough. You are perfect. You are here. And so it is. Shalom, namaste, and amen. Allow your eyes to open if you haven't already as we continue on with our service.
Reverend Sonya, thank you so much. That was such a beautiful, inspiring talk. Thank you. It probably won't be the last time. Oh, I've got during the announcements, yes. So here at Unity Spiritual Center, we are what? An ocean of love.
Push the slide.
There it is. Here at Unity Spiritual Center, we have an inspiring vision, an exciting mission, and compelling values by which we strive to live. Please join me in saying them aloud as you see them on our screen. Our vision is centered in God we co-create a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. Our mission is, we are a creative, joy-filled spiritual community dedicated to healing, inspiring, and transforming the lives of all people through prayer, education, and love. And our values are, we are spirit-led, generous with resources, inclusive, joyously creative, and guided by integrity. And into this space, feeling so inspired by our vision, mission, and values, which we have just spoken together, and feeling so enriched by what we've experienced here today, let us take time now to be a channel for enrichment through our generous tithes and love offerings. As Michael shares the next beautiful song, please take a time to write out a check to USC or jump into your wallet or whatever you've got some offering in, or if you're on Zoom, to make a donation online. If you are here in the sanctuary, the ushers will come forward to take your offering. Practicing the principle of tithing ourselves as a spiritual community, we are pleased to tithe 10% of the offering collected every Sunday to various unity organizations and local nonprofits. Let us take a time now to bless our tithes and love offerings as we cup them in our hands or hold them next to our hearts. And let us say the offering blessing, which is on your screen. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
I've seen some lucky guys. It's amazing how it all falls in place. And I've seen some lucky gals, and fortune always smiles on their face. And I've seen this happen to the average guy named Joe, and I wonder what he's got that I didn't know. So I spend an hour with a higher power, 'cause it's not luck, it's you. Take some time and put your mind where the light comes shining through, and I'll help you raise your confidence if you'll help me raise mine. We'll seek a higher consciousness, and together we'll be just fine. So we'll spend an hour with a higher power, 'cause it's not luck, it's you. I've heard some fancy tales about some lucky break, and I've heard of happy accidents, of finding gold that wasn't fake. And I've heard this happens to the average gal named Sue, and I wonder what she did that I didn't do. So I spend an hour with a higher power. It's not luck, it's you. Take some time and put your mind where the light comes shining through, and I'll help you raise your confidence if you'll help me raise mine. We'll seek a higher consciousness, and together we'll be just fine. So we'll spend an hour with a higher power, 'cause it's not luck, it's you. It's not luck, it's you.
please join me in blessing our tithes and offerings? Spirit of the living God, bless the acts of our hands, our minds, our hearts. May everything offered here at Unity Spiritual Center be a reflection of all that is good within us. Grant us the courage to patiently listen for the stirring of your presence. Enliven our spirits with humor. Fill us with reverence for one another and gratitude for our diversity. May unity, beauty, and truth be the fruit of all we do. And so it is. Amen.